Hello boys and girls, welcome to my channel, I'm For Classic and welcome to BenchART. So for today what I do have in here is Outriders, a game developed by People Can Fly and it is using Unreal Engine 4. So this is the demo that I'm using to test out the game. The game will come out in 1 month, so probably the game will be better optimized when it's released than it is now. So let's start with the settings. So I'm running the game at 720p using 75% of resolution scaling, and I'm using all the settings at low or minimum, whatever. So these are the requirements, and I think that the requirements aren't really correct, or the demo it isn't really very well optimized, because the minimum requirements are specified for 720p 60 frames per second, and they say that a 750 Ti it is enough to provide that. I know that the MX130 is worse than a 750 Ti, but still the results are quite disappointing. So at low settings, not using any resolution scaling, 60% of the time the game was lower than 30 frames per second. Using 75% of resolution scaling, the same settings that I'm using in here, 30% of the time it was lower than 30 frames per second. And if I use 50%, around 15% of the time the game was lower than 30 frames per second. So whatever the settings I go with, it will always run under 30 frames per second at some occasions. So one of the things that I want to warn you is that I played a little bit of the game, and the initial levels that I did play, they weren't as much demanding as this one that I'm trying. And I don't really understand why, because those levels were in fact more prettier. And this one, it doesn't look that good, you know, but still it seems to demand much more than the previous levels that I did try out. So as a reference, I decided to use this specific level, since it's the worst case scenario that I did found out, and this is exactly the performance that I'm getting. So yeah, that is also another issue with the game. In my opinion, it is quite bad. The game does stutter a lot and the frame time seems very inconsistent. So this is you know, it's an issue usually with Unreal Engine games, especially Unreal Engine 4, but most of the developers can deal with this issue and can attenuate the stuttering and the frame time issues in Unreal Engine 4. But Outriders at the moment, it just stutters way too much, and it is quite unstable on its frame times, and that causes the 1% low frame rate to go really into lower values as you are looking at the moment. So average frame rate, it is usually above 30 frames per second, but thanks to those stutters, to those frame time spikes happening all over the place in this game, the 1% low on the minimum frames really gets affected in this game. Also, when you are using the sniper and pointing out to certain places, sometimes the frame rate just goes under 30 frames per second. Or when there is a lot of explosions and particles and stuff going on, the game also go under 30 frames per second. So that's all that I want to talk about Outriders on the MX130. Let's hope that the performance gets an improvement in the release date, because for now it isn't really great, and it seems that the requirements they aren't really correct, you know. So let's talk a little bit about the game, shall we? So Outriders, it is pretty much a looter shooter, so think of this as a Destiny game or a Division, but it is not as much focused into cover shooting like the Division, but it is a looter shooter. So basically you have kind of your enemies will be kind of a bullet sponges, and all of the stuff that you will do inside this game will be just trying to get the best loot, just like it happens in the Division, just like it happens in Warframe, and just like it happens in Destiny. So it's the same type of game, but with a big difference. So there is no loot boxes, no microtransactions or anything like it. When you buy this game, you will buy the full package. So you won't be getting any microtransactions or DLCs. At least the DLC part, I'm not really aware of that. But I mean, there are no microtransactions or stuff. Every stuff that you can get in this game, it will be inside the game through grinding or for just completing the stuff that you have to do. So it's like, I don't know, it's like a looter shooter, but without all the bullshit that Destiny and Warframe and Ubisoft tries to push it into you. So you just get the complete package. Just by paying the full price for the game, you will have the complete package. All these missions can be completed in cooperative, so it is good if you have a friend to play, but you can still play with any other random people inside the internet, so it's really up to you. But essentially, Outriders, it is really that. Think of this as a Warframe game or a Destiny, but without microtransactions, without that bullshit going on, and that's about it. Alright, so I think that's all that I want to talk for now about Outriders. I hope you did enjoy the video so far. I will have a little bit more of gameplay, not much, and I do hope to see you soon. Goodbye.